Hi there, Sandra here from Createinspain. Do you know something? It feels really, really weird today. It is, let me see, about 8:30 in the evening. And I don't usually do my crafting in the evening, but today I am. And it is not yet Christmas. And I'm sat here in my lovely, comfy, fluffy, furry sort of dressing gown because it's lovely and warm, and my craft room isn't that warm normally. And I'm making Valentine cards. I mean, this is really, really so peculiar, but there is a reason for my madness, and it will become apparent at some point. It will not become apparent just yet, but I will tell you at some point why I am doing Valentine cards in December. So the front, or should I say the card base, because this is the base of the card, has got a cutout on this side. Now, when you're doing this, I would advise when you fold your card to put this bit down on the base and to fold that bit up to it, because it's easier than folding a piece of card that has a cutout in it. It's much better for that to be on a solid surface and you to fold that over. I tend to do the folding, if I don't actually put a score line in, which I frequently don't bother, I tend to do the folding on my guillotine because I can use the square edges of my guillotine to push the card in. And it does it pretty well, so I do tend to do that. Now, this card is unusual for me because I'm actually doing a print and cut. It's one I've designed myself, and I have done the print. Now, I say I did the print, it didn't quite go as smoothly as anticipated because this was my original one that I wanted to cut out. You notice I've got bits of tape on it at the moment. And this came out of there. The problem was that when I actually originally did this as the print and cut in Shortcut Salon, I had another element on my page. And although I had selected cut selection only, it still showed the registration marks around this bit. That's what it showed me. So I thought, oh, okay, it's going to put them there and it's going to be in the right place. When it actually went to the printer, even though I had the printer set up correctly, all I had was one registration mark. I didn't have the others, which was a pain in the neck. So what I did was I took the paper out, I put it in again, I moved the design so that it was at the bottom of the paper instead of at the top. I printed it again with all the registration marks on it by taking the other item, which was on the workspace, completely away to a different page so that the registration marks would be in the correct place. Printed it off again and cut it again. But that, for some strange reason, ended up looking this colour. And I thought, oh, perhaps I did it as a draft print. And I checked my settings and I hadn't done it as a draft. Printed that colour the first time round, in this colour the second, and I wanted that colour. Not going to happen. Sorry, but it's not going to happen. So what I did then was I allowed it to do this cutout. I trimmed the paper off without taking it off the mat. I trimmed the paper off and I set it to do another cut, and I put the other piece, my wrecked piece, cut it down, trimmed it down, put it in the hole that this one had come out of, and then set it to cut again so that I could get this heart out of that piece, because that's the one I wanted. So no, nothing's been going quite to plan this evening. I've got my glue here, and this is a matte varnish, and I'm going to apply the glue in the hole left by my cutout. So this is the most reliable way of making sure that you're going to stick in there is going to be in the right place. You want to slot it where it's supposed to go and stick it in place, theoretically. Only for some strange reason, even that doesn't really want to work today. And my glue doesn't seem to want to stick it either. Oh dear. Well, it is Friday the 13th. Right, so I will try and get that to stick exactly there. I think it's going to stay now. I think. I hope. Opened, you get to see it, and you get to see it when the card is shut. That's the idea anyway. So the front panel then goes over the top of that, and theoretically it should have been lined up, and it isn't. I don't believe this. Okay, it's not quite lined up as it should be. You get the idea. I think I'm going to have to look at this file again and see what on earth I did with it. But that is the idea. It's supposed to have a nice equal border around there, and for some strange reason it doesn't. And it doesn't seem to have cut exactly the same size hole out in this piece either. But I think this can just be an outtake reel, because this one's just gone disastrously wrong. And it's always good for you to know that I can muck it up as well as anybody else can. Okay, I thought maybe I'd been a little bit rash and that I could rework this file and do it again. I don't like to let you down, so I thought I would do that. So I went into the file. I think I worked out what I did wrong. It was something to do with resizing the front panel, and rejigged it and thought, right, okay, I'm going to do this again. So I sent it to the printer. I put in my photo paper and I started to print, only to discover my printer had picked up two pieces of paper and was printing on this instead. Okay, take three, I thought. I put in photo paper again, and this time it's printed it in pale pink and it's got lines all the way through it. Right. I was having difficulty last night with this card design, and I'm still having difficulty with it today, but I've realised something which is hopefully going to be cured at some stage, but I've really had it with this design. This is eventually what it turned out like. It's not as good as I wanted because these two cuts do not line up. They just don't. They're supposed to. It's actually the same cut line and it's not lining up. And this has been driving me absolutely and totally nuts. And I rejigged the file. I did it several times. I've checked, I put layer over layer over layer, checked they all line up. Yeah, they line up. And it still hasn't been coming out right. And I also need to change my colour cartridge. Typical. And then I decided to do a test. First off, I recalibrated my silver bullet. I don't think it was the problem at all, but I thought, well, it won't do any harm to recalibrate it, so I did recalibrate it just in case there was a problem there. I didn't think that was likely to be the case. And then I thought, right, okay, I'm going to cut out a 10 centimetre square. And this is a 10 centimetre square. I've measured it. It measures 10 centimetres. No problem. Then I did a print for a print and cut. The same square, I just infilled it with yellow to print it. And I checked it. And I've got it set to my usual silver bullet settings and my usual printer settings for a print and cut. Now, admittedly, normally I'm doing a print and cut. I'm not trying to line it up with something else, usually. So I don't know if this is a long-running issue or not. However, print and cut, borderless, I have my paper set to A4, and on my printer I did set it to the horizontal option. And the reason I do that is because with my machine, I don't have much room behind it. And so if I do something like this, my cutting board is hitting my back wall quite often. So I tend to work in that direction instead. Makes it easier for me. So I had it all set up correctly. All the print settings were set up correctly. There was no scaling on it, nothing. And look what has happened. If I line this up with the top left corner, you can hopefully easily see there's about 2 millimeters that side and about 3 millimeters on that side. And this is why my project wasn't lining up, because my printing cut is being made larger than the actual size. So I then tried doing it print and cut, same paper settings, except for the fact I left off the borderless mode. Again, no scaling, but no borderless mode. And lo and behold, my 10 centimeter square is now a 10 centimeter square again. Now, I'm not going to redo this file. I have done it at least half a dozen times so far. I am not going to cut it again. I am sick to death of the sight of it. However, I will give you a link to the file, and if you want to use the file, you can. It should work just fine. I have left a message on the not on the silver, but on the Shortcuts a Lot forum. And I have sent an email to Shortcuts a Lot because I don't know if this is a Shortcuts a Lot issue with it giving the wrong message to the printer, or whether it's a printer setting issue. And I honestly don't know how on earth I find out which it is, because something is scaling up this if I use the borderless mode. And I do not have the scale setting to do that on my printer settings, but something is doing it, and I don't know what. By the time this video goes out, hopefully I might have a solution, and if I have, I will post that resolved answer underneath the video. But at the moment, this just remains a outtakes video, and I have lots and lots and lots of cutouts of this particular design that have been driving me up the wall. Okay, that's it, run over. I hope you've enjoyed having a laugh at my expense. I am going to make myself a cup of coffee and take some paracetamol because I now have a really nasty headache. Take care, I'll see you again soon.